What is up, guys, and welcome to another PLO poker coaching play and explain. We are here on Ignition again. We have 4 tables running, 2 of PLO 50 and 2 of PLO 100. We are just trying to get some action going. There wasn't 4 tables of 100, and basically I'm probably going to play some 2-5 at some point today, but haven't really played all week, and so want to warm back up and get into the action. Here, this table I limped and called just because these players are pretty terrible. This is not a suggested play. This guy's very aggressive, so we will just be check jamming on him, and depending on what the action is behind him. And against a call, I am just going to jam here. These guys are super wide pre-flop. I mean, this guy limped. This guy can have anything with these crazy stats, even though it's a small sample. The hands that I've seen have been pretty out there. So we're quite happy to take it down on a pretty draw-heavy board. You usually don't want to get ahead of yourself here with 2 pairs, 2 pair no backup. Against regs, I would just be flatting here and, you know, kind of taking my equity to the turn. That's obviously not great. And we do take it down though, and we see the ranges that we were up against. And why we kind of fast played on the flop there, which at these stakes, one of the adjustments you can make at PLO 50 and even lower is often with hands like that, you can fast play. I would not advise those sorts of plays once you start getting up to 200, 500, because people will have much more balanced ranges. Like the player over here will have a lot of sets that he just kind of flats with, you know, sets without backup, that sort of thing. Here, after we call a raise, again, this guy's very passive. Usually I would chuck back a good amount of flushes here, but I think against this player I just want to start building a pot, and he just snap folds. And if you have not already, make sure you check out our homepage. We do have a promo running there right now, whereby if you subscribe and comment on the video, you will be eligible to receive 2 free hours of poker coaching, which I will pick out at random from the commenters. Yeah, so make sure you go check that out. Pretty terrible flop here for us against this player's range. Obviously he is very wide, and here in position, I think with a 9 and the ace of spades I am actually going to bet, and here I'm just going to be check folding top left. This is obviously a decent card for our range. He'll be check raising a lot of straights. Here, top left, I'm actually going to go ahead and stab with a club blocker. I'm going to go a little bigger than half pot. So I think that I do want to go ahead and bet this turn. Obviously, if we get raised or any more resistance with the ace of spades in our hand, we will go ahead and fold. And on this river, like this guy, again, not many hands, but you can kind of already tell the type of player that he is. Extremely passive. He's going to have just a lot of like 2 pairs in his hand that he's not going to give up on this river. Obviously we can't really win, but I don't think that there's much EV in jamming here. any of his parent straight draws obviously got there either on the turn or river, so I think we just want to give up at this point. Chalk it up to a loss, and yeah. I honestly can't see him folding that hand, which sounds pretty crazy, but and on this board here, our position, this guy's quite passive, so I think that we can just check and usually get a free card. He does bet pretty large. So I have a few. I think I am going to peel here. And then check fold turn. We do have a 4 and a 10 blocker, and obviously we can't win here. So I think that we are just going to pot it. There is a decent amount of weaker hands that he could have stabbed on the flop, pair and flush draws that will likely fold at this point. And here we're just going to pot with the, start building the pot with the wrap and flush draw. In a limp pot, I usually just use a full pot sizing if I want to bet and start building a pot, and he does go ahead and raise, so not fantastic. And obviously we're folding, and we're gonna ISO here against the 89 VP player. And just gonna continue to ISO this guy with most playable hands on the button. Not ideal that we have the short stack player behind, but we get 3 callers. No real reason to bet here. We obviously have some outs. Against this sizing with 2 people behind, I mean, I don't think that we can fold. It's not a fantastic spot. And that is not a great river. We flopped 2 pair on the top right after getting called out of the big blind. And we did just show this guy a bluff. I mean, we block all of the draws. Yeah, I don't know what this guy's gonna call with. Again, against this player, I just don't think it's worth stabbing. Yeah, the nizzles. And we turn basically the nuts on the top right, and this guy's pretty short. I think we can go like half pot. And he does fold, and we're folding here bottom left. Again, relatively weak kings, probably quite marginal, but in this lineup, I am always opening this hand. And we're gonna ISO bottom left. You really don't want to be then folding to the pot size bet here. Even though you do want to play more pots against these kind of marginal, against these weaker players, definitely don't be overcalling. Make sure that you're ISOing and 3-betting a lot. Trying to get to heads up or only a few people on the flop so that you can drive a larger edge. So quite tempted to raise here, to be honest. Most people will overfold aces in this spot. Obviously don't have much equity, but it's just very hard to have bluffs. I mean, there's no draws. He may not fold aces, but he's quite tight. And I am just actually going to give up. Unless it's obviously a good river to bluff on. Here we flop the second nuts. Just gonna check. Blocking diamonds with no bets on the flop. I am gonna go ahead and stab. Check back. And then fold river. Yeah, it'd be interesting to look at that one. A lot of people are just going to overfold aces in that spot, which they shouldn't do, but it does tend to be a population leak. And it's probably more of an effective play on PLO 50 than PLO 100, but I still use it relatively frequently. Here, it's obviously basically a range c-bet for us, and it's whether we want to pot or use a half pot sizing. Potting usually is when we have good enough equity to stack off, but we have weak playability. Here we just have some very weak blockers, so I think half pot here is what we want to go with, and then we can evaluate on turns once we get called, which is going to be somewhat frequent on that board, but we do get it through. And obviously not a great board over here. And we get a snap check back. So I am going to start betting here. Maybe we'll give up way too much in these small pots. And we're just going to fold here with the shot backdoor flush draw. Guessing this guy folds. I mean, I'm likely just going to fold. Given that this guy's out of the pot, this table is obviously not shaping up to be so good. 16 hands, this guy's played 7%. This guy's playing his first hand. And this guy's, I mean, I don't think we can fold now though. This guy is 3-betting a decent amount, but... And against the button we will fold. Yeah, so... I'm actually going to fold this hand here, which sounds kind of crazy, but often our flush draws are dominated. It's very disconnected. It was a marginal call in the first place, and these guys are going to have relatively good amount of high pairs in their hand. Sure, we'll flop top set in the flush draw though. Always nice when you make a super knee fold. Just keep count of how many dollars we just cost ourselves on the bottom right as everybody stacks on. Okay. So only about 300 big blinds. Can't be results oriented though, guys. We'll see how much of a punt that was. I'm sure we're meant to call from like an odds perspective, but I mean, these guys have literally played 0 hands, so we're literally drawing to a jack. Top 2. This is a top 2 that facing a bet I would just call, and I may actually check back in. We have literally no backup, and yeah, I'm actually gonna check back. And I probably would have check raised here on the up left, but we are gonna bet now, pot on the turn. And we face pot size bet. Obviously, we're not raising. Gonna be some pretty ugly rivers, but we are in position. Pretty clean river. Very tempted to call. Unblocking clubs and hearts. We do block some of the other straight draws, which isn't ideal. Nice, nice. Kings on the turn. Life is good. And we are going to raise against the limp. And just folding bottom left. Probably going to try and switch out this bottom right table. It is not a table that you particularly want to be sat at. And I'm actually just going to flat here and ring in and try and play with this recreational in the big blind. You flop a set. A very dynamic board. And we'll just check call. Here with the jacks. This guy is often going to stab, but we don't really have a hand that we can check raise with. So I'm just going to go ahead and lead. Not so much value in checking and getting him to bet, because we probably just have to check call anyway. We turn the under full. Again, no real reason to bet here, although this is a good card for our range. He is obviously going to be betting some 10-7. I'm just going to continue to fire here small. I think that this guy will call us with a lot of flush draws. We're obviously dead against 10-7. But it is a card that we would get to raise a lot on, and we could have led on it, to be honest. But I am just going to call. But it's tough because we're going to be guessing on a lot of rivers. He bets small. I mean, he is wrapping up flush, and we do unblock diamonds. Let's go for the 3-bet. I don't think we can fold, really, to be honest, to this sizing, but And he was valuing the nut flush with the 10 blocker. And here, SPR of 2, just gonna pot. Pretty rough playability on all turns, but we will just pot and stack off. Good turn. And we do hold. Here on the top left against this super wide range, I am just going to be c-betting almost any 4 cards on an ace high board and likely barreling this turn. The snap call often feels like a draw, to be honest. So unless he has, you know, the kind of 3-4-5 soft hand, we're usually looking at diamonds, and we can fold out much better hands here, obviously, kings, queens. This one's pretty tempting, and I am actually going to squeeze against these guys, pretty much playing full range. Not a great flop. Not what we were looking for. Very connected. They'll find a lot of continues here in their raise calling range. So we're just going to check and hope for a free card, which we will not get. These are some of the worst queens that we could have against this guy that's pretty 3-bet happy, so we will fold. Yeah, I'm just going to fold here. It's probably a bit loose without the nut suit, to be honest. We could just call with this guy behind. I just don't really want to fold any half-decent hands. Obviously this guy comes along this time for his first hand. And here I am going to go ahead and pot. We can call it off against this guy, and this guy is betting 40% on the flop and playing 100% of hands, so he just has a crazy weak range. This is the guy to worry about, but again, as I said, we have enough equity to call it off. And kind of, do I want to check raise? This guy called really quick, so again it feels kind of drawy, so I am going to check, and he does snap check back, so I think he had check fold on, to be honest. So we weren't really getting any value there. Playing position against this guy, I will be opening quite wide on the button, but folding to a 3-bet, even in position against this guy, because although he is playing a lot of hands and opening a lot, hasn't really seemed too crazy in terms of raising, and this hand is very ugly to play, even in position, with this guy behind too that could easily just stack off. And now we get a pretty juicy heads up spot, although actually these guys are coming in. B check call in the flop. Could check raise. But at that point we're only really folding out kings and queens that we're ahead of. It's likely going to call with any flush draws. And I swing pretty wide on the bottom left. And we will have pretty big potting range on this flop, and I think that we can just go ahead and pot stack off with flush draw, backdoor flush draw, and a pair backdoor straight draw. I think we have a lot of fold equity. We don't get raised on the flop. I mean, that is obviously very good. Most nut flush draws are raising. He will have more flushes in his range, usually, as the caller of the 3-bet, especially with this tight of a range. We're obviously going to have more of the overpairs. So I'm actually going to go ahead and check this turn. I mean, we're never folding, obviously. And that is a pretty bad river in terms of getting action. I mean, you shouldn't obviously have too much queen-queen here, given that he just flatted the flop. And the question is, do we get value maybe from straights or lower flushes? I don't think that we can bet pot, to be honest. Oh, did not mean to check. Damn it. I feel like he's gonna check back a lot. He jams. Yeah, I don't think we can ever fold here. King high flush, pretty much the only hand that makes sense. Potting here, we're 4 away. So I saw and called by 4 people. Yeah, so I think we do want to actually size down. Yeah, so that timeout cost us a few big blinds because he would not have been raising that hand obviously on the river. So that does suck. I think we can go ahead and question is, do we want to pot the turn? Do we want to keep in draws that we have relatively crushed? I still think you can call with weaker flush draws here are like Jack X, the spades. And we are struggling today with the timeouts. I'm just gonna pot the river. We'll have some flushes that we do check back on the turn, so we get here with a decently strong range, and some straights complete too, that he likely won't be able to fold. Probably play the last couple of hands here, coming up on the 30-minute mark, so we'll wrap it up. As I said, make sure you check out our homepage, try and win some free coaching there, but also just check out the PLOpokercoaching.com website, and you can also get 30 minutes of free coaching. We will set you up and evaluate your game. And I think with the gut shot here, we can go ahead and bet. And call a raise. And we do take it down. And that is going to be it for the session today. We will likely be coming out with some higher stakes action later on now that we are loosey-goosey. But thanks everyone for tuning in. We will talk soon, and good luck at the tables out there.